Hi everyone, I'm Helen. Welcome back. I've made another video about all my Cotman brushes, and in that video I sort of went through them doing brush strokes. So if you want to see that, I'm going to link that up at the end or in the cards. Have a look for that video. When I started buying some Cotman brushes, I couldn't really find any videos on the subject, so I'm making this for you guys for that reason, so that you can have a look at what they look like actually in use. Now I have another video of all my Cotman Winsor & Newton beginner watercolor brushes. These are student grade brushes made of synthetic fiber. I have a full-length in-depth video where I show different brush strokes with that and how wide the lines are, but I thought what could be useful is just concentrating on the rounds today. So before I start painting, I just want to tell you that down below in the description box and also in the comments, I will have timestamps for each of these, just in case you want to jump ahead. So we're going to be covering today the Zero Rigger, the 1 round detail brush. I don't know how well the camera's focusing on this. The 4 round brush versus the 6. Maybe you don't need both of these, or maybe you do. I don't know. And the 10. This is the largest round that I own. All right, let's get into it. And by the way, the book that I'm going to be working in today is the Watercolor Workbook by Sarah Simon. This is a great book just to get you started. It's got some great color mix ideas, and I just refer to this all the time. And yeah, there's all the color recipes. I have discussed this. I have another video that's about all my different supplies, so check that one out as well. I talk a bit more in depth about this particular book and why I think it's a good one, or just buy it. You know, I don't know your life. Okay, let's just put these here in the gutter. And I like to use a bigger jar of water, and I use this for fresh water to make mixes, and I pour it into this little jar, especially when I'm outside. And this is purposefully very ugly because I don't want to accidentally drink out of it, because it is the right size to drink out of. Now, why wouldn't you just use this larger one, you might ask? And the reason for that is that it's too deep. So when you try and smash your brush to the bottom, you'll just have a very entirely wet brush, and you can't really smash down the smaller ones. Whereas this one, if you go down to the bottom, the reason you would do that is if you need to clean off your brush in between colors. It's nice to have one that is not too deep so that you can reach the bottom. Hopefully that makes sense. I mean, obviously if you're more experienced watercolorist, you know that already. Okay. I'm just going to mist this to activate it. I don't know that I'll go to the bother of mixing up these beautiful colors that they've got here, like blush. I'm probably just going to use straight out of here, because really what I'm trying to show you is the quality and the thickness of the brushes and what they look like to actually paint with, if that's of interest. Hopefully it is. That's why you're here. I'm going to start off with my favorite of the brushes, the one I think is the most versatile, which is the 10. I'm going to dip that in water, and I'm going to paint these leaves and just use some Viridian green. Pick up some more. This is a Viridian green from my Cotman Winsor & Newton Pocket Palette. I think that's what this is called. I'm going to mute. No, actually I'm going to brighten that up with some yellow. A little bit. So here we go. I'm showing you now the Winsor & Newton Cotman 10. I'll do a little box over here so you can see what that looks like. It's quite a bit of water. There. So maybe I'll do a little wet and wet on this. This brush, I think, is just on the outsides of what I would want to use. Like, I feel like this leaf is not, well, everybody paints differently, but I feel like this leaf is not quite big enough to merit this big brush. So that's what it's like. It's wet because it has a big belly and it holds a lot of water. Let me just dip something a bit more concentrated in there. So you can actually paint in this book. It's watercolor paper, the last 2/3 of the book. Right, so that's how that looks. I actually think that's too much water, so I'm just going to dab a little bit off. What happens if I put a creamy mixture in there straight from the pan? There we are. So that is the Winsor Newton Cotman 111 round in size 10. This is the biggest, juiciest brush I own. Okay, let's paint something else here. Let's go to the next size. Let's go to the round size 6. So I guess we're just going to work our way down. Here's the 6. What should we paint? What do you guys think? I think we need to start painting one of these roses. It says Dahlia Pink, I think, is the predominant color. Let's do this one here. Oh, you know what? That water's quite green. Let me dip in some cleaner water. When I have a clean brush and I just need to pick up some water, I'll go in there. So I'm going to pick up some permanent rose. Let's leave these here. So my permanent rose is going down alarmingly quickly. I love this color. I'm going to put it here on my palette. That's a bit bright. So let's add some yellow. Cadmium yellow? I can't remember the exact name. Now it's become too muddy. I don't like that. Let's pick up some more pink. You guys, don't come for my technique. I'm new. I'm a completely new watercolorist. But, you know, when I bought all these brushes, I didn't have any guidance at all. I kind of had to buy them sort of without knowing what's what. Is that close to the Dahlia Pink? Let's see. I mean, not really, but it's close enough for our purposes here. So this is the 6. So first of all, let's have a look at the 6 here. Again, I've done all brush strokes. If you just want to see brush strokes and line width when you press down, like that, I've got a whole other video on that. If you hear that beeping, forgive me. There's an infernal beeping coming from my neighbors. Maybe they're garbage. I don't know where. I think this is maybe a device they threw out. So I'm going to try and tamp that down in terms of background noise in post when I edit this. But if I can't, my apologies. Right now I want to get a hammer and smash it. But anyhow, barring the ability to do that, I will just try and edit out that sound. Hopefully you're seeing that you can just work with more detail, right? So the 6 is quite a bit smaller. Have a look. Big difference. Big difference. Even though you've gone down, I think, just 2 sizes, because I think the size between these two is the 8. This one holds markedly less water. It doesn't have much of a belly. This one is in another realm, basically. All right. So, okay, well, whatever. I'm not crazy about that color, but fine. So let's do, again, a little wet and wet. I know that this is very imperfect because this water is tinted, as was the other one, but you know what? I figure it shows better on camera, so I'm okay with that if you guys are okay with that. Let's go in here. So there we are. There's the 6. It's got a nice point, but for some reason this point, not to be nitpicky, can you see this point has a tiny little bristle that's out of place? Am I supposed to trim that? I think I am. I think I'm going to take my embroidery scissors and just give that a teeny snip, because it kind of, I'll show you here. It kind of has a mind of its own, that teeny little tip. I don't know. You can really get a lot of really good detail with this particular brush. Great for this size. I think probably 6 is perfect for what I'm painting here. Let's go in here a little bit. I feel like I'm reverting to childhood when I fill these in. Like, do you remember like when there was paper and then there was little dabs of pigment on the paper and all you had to do was use a brush and activate it? Do you remember? I haven't seen one of those. I'm sure they're around. But one of those kind of crafts in such a long time where you just literally had a little brush and you added water. I used to love doing those. All right. Lots of noise in my backyard today, people. I live in the city, so there's streetcars going, there's a building behind me where they open and close the windows, and sometimes it's peaceful back here and sometimes it's kind of noisy. It's the weekend, so people are home, so cicadas are going. Right, so that is the Winsor Newton Cotman 111 round number 6. It's so hard to find videos where people walk through every single brush. I just wish I had this as a resource before I bought all of these because, like, as I said, I kind of, as a newbie, didn't really know what to buy. Let's move on to the 4. What shall we paint with the 4? Perhaps one of these small flowers. Will you guys be able to see that well? It's probably about the right size. Okay, let's go for that. Now, they are painting it, I think, in Branch, this color here, but whatever. I'm just going to pick something I like. Mix up something. So, the 4 is a lovely detail brush. Let's see. This is burnt sienna that I'm picking up. And it's kind of ugly, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I'm gonna add some white to it. My watercolor teacher does not like us to add white for some reason. She didn't think it looked good. But this book is all full of adding white. It's kind of funny. The white in this set is opaque. Is it gouache that they dry down? I have no idea. Is that anything like the Branch color? No, it is not a thing like that. Let's add then a tiny bit of cerulean blue. Okay, that's made it a little bit more moody and muted. Let's have a look. I think the 4 and the 6 are quite similar. I don't think you need to buy both. Maybe if you're buying the 10, the 4 is the better size to get because it's further away and more and smaller. If you only could buy 2, probably the 10 and the 4 are good ones. Yeah, that's too watery. Mix in a bit more. Okay, there we are. Let's just go straight in with this, not do any wet and wet. These brushes are very nice for the money. These small ones don't cost very much. What do you guys think? So that's the 4. Let's see what else is this color in this painting. This is just in the center. So let's do this. Let's clean that off. Get a drop of clean water. And what happens if we push this out with the clean water? Lovely detail brush. You can really get in there. But as I use it, I'm really realizing how close this is to the 6. I don't think you need both. I thought I needed both. I don't think you do, but maybe you do. I don't know. Some people like to collect things. Basically is what I'm trying to say. They just like to be completionists. They like to have the whole set. I'm not like that, but, you know, different strokes for different folks. You guys remember that TV show? If you do, you're old like me. All right. So that was the number 4 Cotman 111 round by Winsor & Newton. Now we're getting to the teeny tiny detail brush. This is the 1. Winsor & Newton Cotman 111 round. These are all from the 111 line, except for this, which is just called a Rigger 333, which is also known as a liner brush. When I saw these, I didn't understand what they were for until I used one in my art class, and it really does help draw a nice straight line. But we're not here to talk about that at this moment. Let's do some of the yellow in this flower here. Yellow rose. So what I'm just going to do, without looking, because, oh my gosh, you know what? They're written down here. What is wrong with me? How smart is this? So they've included the color recipes down here at the bottom. You guys seeing that? There's recipes here down at the bottom. So you actually don't have to refer back to that page. What is yellow rose? It's 10% white. This is a really good book, guys, if you're a beginner and you're just starting out. This is oh my gosh, what am I doing? Messing everything up. This is a good book. Teaches you, if nothing else, about these color mixes to make more muted colors that come out of this primary set, so it's worth it just for that. Yellow rose, 10% white, 80% lemon yellow. Okay, we like that. Love the lemon yellow in this set. More. It's kind of hard to mix up with this detail brush. It doesn't hold very much of anything, but oh, and 10% alizarin crimson, which I don't have. I just have permanent rose, so we're just gonna have to drop a tiny bit in there. Oh, pretty, I like that. These mixes are so good. Okay, let's paint in these stamens of some of these flowers. So let's do this one. So guys, I'm not gonna paint in this whole flower. We're really just here to check this out. Perfect little detail brush. Look how fine, look how tiny you can get the strokes. Where else is it tiny? Up here. Yeah, so tiny that I'm actually struggling to to control the brush without making it wiggle everywhere. You guys are gonna kill me. I totally forgot to do these little things here, these little squares that we were working on. So let's do them here. So this is the one. When you go this way, you can make it thicker. It's starting to rain again. Every time I film, it rains. Okay, some fresh water. Let's add them together. Just get such a level of detail. Do you guys follow the watercolorist Louise Demasi? She's Australian watercolor artist. She uses this size a lot. There's something very beautiful about that, isn't there? Okay, which is the one that I missed? The 4. Oh, it's hot out, so that dried up in a hot sack. Let's see here. Sorry guys, so this again is the 4 I missed out. I forgot in my excitement to complete this for you guys. I totally forgot to make this little block. Here we are. Holds quite a bit more water, obviously, than the 1, and why wouldn't it? Let's get some clean water, drag this out a bit. Again, don't come for my technique, okay? I'm new here. That said, if you would show your support by liking and subscribing, that would be most helpful and very kind. All right, so that was the 4. Let's get on with things and use the rigger. Monstera. So in the book, it's this sort of dark green color, which you make by using oxide of chromium. I don't have that. And Payne's gray. I don't have that. It's hard to mix colors with the rigger, so I'm going to mix actually with a different brush. I'll use the 4 to mix up some. I already got this green, so what I'll just do is add burnt sienna. Is this in the frame? I don't know. And burnt sienna and ultramarine blue will make a gray. Then I'm going to mix them together. Let's get a drop of clean water going. So I'm finding with the rigger, you need quite a bit of dark mix. That beeping is still going on next door. I'm going to lose my mind. I am going to go get a sledgehammer, find the device, and smash it like in the movie Office. Was that what it was called? They smashed the fax machine and they just beat it with a hammer. No, they didn't beat it with a hammer. They beat it with a baseball bat. I swear I'm not a violent person, but I am sensitive to background noises when I'm trying to film. Who wouldn't it be? Okay, so I've just dipped the rigger. This is the Winsor & Newton 333 rigger, size 0. It's got too much water on it. We're going to make some of these lines now. And away we go. What should we do, guys? What happens if we drop it in here? Let's find out. It's damp. I'm painting upwards, which is not the best idea with riggers. I just love to just get a lot of paint on this. Nice wet paint. Where can I draw downwards? Use a downward stroke and not smear everything. Right here. Maybe. Maybe. Ooh, my hand is shaky. Not too bad though. So the purpose of a rigger, if you're new to watercolor, and you're like, who needs that stupid looking thing? It's a liner brush. And it makes it easier to draw straight lines. And I forgot once again to make a box for you guys, so let's do that now. It's a little harder to do with the rigger, so let's make some space. Your brush holding technique, everything about using the rigger is slightly different from the other brushes, at least how I'm using it, because look, it naturally wants to make these lines, and that's fine. But let's say we want to color in. Yes, it naturally wants to go long, but that's okay. So you have to change direction. Makes these fine, fine lines. Look at that. What happens if I go like this and I get some clean water? Pull this along. So that's the rigger. These boxes got smaller as they went down. Okay. Okay then. Right. So, just one last thing about riggers. You know, this was, I think, $5. It was worth it. I don't always draw lines like this. I don't always need it, but when you need it, you really need it. Does that make sense? There just isn't really I mean, you can use the one. You can. Ooh, that was real wobbly. Let's try it with the one. I might eat my words here because I've actually never used this one to draw a line just because I bought the rigger first before I owned this one. Yeah, the rigger's easier for sure. But you can do this, especially if you have a steadier hand than I do. Definitely this one works well in a pinch, but you can see I missed. And with the rigger, once you put it down, it just wants to stay down and it just makes life easier. So, you know. So there you have it, you guys. There's my set of Cotman and Newton round brushes. I hope that this was helpful and can save you a few dollars because maybe you're someone who doesn't want to buy everything. I usually am not. All right, hope you enjoyed that. Again, I've got the full length on this using brush strokes. I've got a couple more that I show in that video. Go ahead and watch that next. I'll add it and link it up right now. Or watch something else, I don't know. Either way, thanks for spending your time here with me and checking this out, and we'll see you in the next video.